I just want to remind you of crazy stats that I have. 236 million views in 9 weeks in Netflix, right? The most successful Netflix film ever. $19 million theatrical view. Soundtracks, 8 songs or top 100 in Billboard. 3 top 10. This is the first time it happened in 30 years. 97% Rotten Tomatoes, the best ever for an original Netflix film. It's crazy numbers. But I think for all these success, a lot of the people who heard about K-pop Demon Hunter, it's the first time they heard about your name, but I think there's no such thing as overnight success. So I just curious, how did you get into animation? How did you get to the stage of getting to this kind of making of K-pop Demon Hunter? Just wanted to know the journey.
Sure. Well, I grew up with a dad who is a total cinephile. So I grew up watching Kurosawa films when I was, 12 years old. And so just the idea of telling stories was kind of ingrained in me, and the love of film and seeing the world through different characters' eyes. I was just fascinated by that from an early age. So I wrote a lot of stories even when I was a kid and illustrated drawings to accompany them. And my dad's the first one to bring me an animation book. And that's when I realized that this could be a real job that married my love of storytelling and my love of art. And so I attended college for that at Sheridan College. And I was basically recruited by DreamWorks in my graduating year. And so that's where I got my first years of training and working on very, big budget films that are, 4 quadrants and needing to appeal to a wide audience. I really learned about storytelling, but also like comedy writing and creating IP and characters that would appeal to a global audience and a big audience. So that was kind of my upbringing, my career upbringing. And so when it came time for me to direct, I felt very ready and very confident in my skills. And so I was able to fold in everything I wanted to see. And that was in the movie. So tone, the type of comedy I wanted to see, but also because I'm Korean, I just wanted to see Korean culture represented. That's how.
At least in U.S. films, the writers and directors are a lot of times separate, but you're a writer-director, and that's more common in Korea. Bong Joon-ho, Parasite, he's a writer-director, and you were doing pretty much full stack everything, writer to directing, everything, and is that common in the animation industry, or?
It's not uncommon. Okay. There's a lot of writer-directors like Dean DeBlois who wrote and directed How to Train Your Dragon, and also his partner who also did Lilo and Stitch, Chris Sanders. So it's not uncommon, but I also wouldn't say it's too common.
Yeah, wow. So you really built the end-to-end universe of this from the scratch. And just curious, everyone gets, just hung up on the name K-pop, Demon Hunter, but I'm just curious, it's a very expansive world. Yes. Korean shamanism, Korean, a lot of traditions, 저승사자, like all these concepts are in there. And just it's hard to say, but how much of it did you want to get inspired by K-pop? And I'm just going to be very honest. When I first heard the name, I thought it was its biggest strength. Could also be. I thought it could be the biggest strength, but also biggest weakness. Because when I think about K-pop, it's very deep fandom, but it's not the most wide fandom as well. But somehow this one got the width, not just the depth. Yes. So I'm just curious. When you made that K-pop decision, what were the fear, and was it intentional? Were you confident from the get-go? Just curious, all these things.
So K-pop Demon Hunters was the working title from the moment it was pitched, and it was kind of that's how it was pitched. It was like kind of like an elevator pitch, you know. I try to condense everything in a very, few amount of words in order to get across the concept. Because
So it's like K-pop meets Demon Hunter was kind of the concept.
Yes. And we deliberated on the title for a very long time, and as you say, it could be very polarizing. Like there's a lot of people who don't know what K-pop is, so that could automatically be, oh well, I don't know what that is. That's not for me, and so they could turn it off. But I think the strength of it is that I believe with any IP, if you don't get the approval and the love from your core audience, then you lose everybody. So from early on, I knew that I was confident that the K-pop audience would accept this movie and like it. So I wasn't afraid to appeal to them first, and then have the word of mouth kind of travel beyond that.
So I think the learning here is that you're not trying to make it the most popular, like the most liked by everyone. You just let's make the K-pop fans love it.
Yes.
That's your first thought.
Yes, I think that's, in my opinion, I think that is why we don't see a lot of success with IP, that comes out of Hollywood specifically, because we're trying to, and animation, because we're trying to appeal to too many people. And once you do that, you kind of risk losing everybody.
Great.
So I'm more of a fan of targeting a smaller audience, getting their approval, and then having that word of mouth travel.
Gotcha. Yeah, even in startups, I think we have this saying, make 100 people love you rather than thousands of people kind of like you.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the 100 people love you, you'd kind of fail.
And I knew that I know how much K-pop audience loves, the level of love that they have. So for me, I felt confident that I could get them, and I felt like even if it didn't go beyond that, then it could be enough for the movie.
Yeah, but it's not just K-pop, but there were cultural, traditional, historical references. For those things, was that intentional from the very start? Were there, I don't know, were there fears around integrating those very historical elements?
It wasn't a plan at the very beginning. I just thought putting these two things together, K-pop and demon hunting, felt, okay, it's kind of.
And just for the audience also, just talk about the tradition of demon hunting.
Sorry?
Talk about demon hunting, what that tradition is about. Yeah.
Oh, the tradition of it?
Yeah.
So we rooted it in Korean shamanism, and that wasn't, but initially that wasn't even an idea. It was just putting the concept together, and then we just started to develop it. And it felt like rooting it in shamanism felt like kind of a no-brainer, because once you are able to have an audience buy in on a concept, then you could just get into your story. And shamanism is something that exists in pretty much every culture.
Yeah.
So it felt like, okay, that's something that everybody knows, so then we can kind of elaborate on that. But it wasn't planned, but once we figured that out, I saw it as an opportunity to, okay, you know what, let's make this the most Korean as it could be.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
The most Korean thing. And just curious, when I was speaking with you, said it was like, you created the concept 7 years ago, so it was a 7-year journey. Everyone knows, okay, this overnight success, but it's 7 years in making. And what were the toughest points in that journey as a creator, trying to create this universe? And 7 years ago, K-pop was not what it was now.
No, it wasn't. But I think on the K-pop front, I had been a fan of K-pop from the beginning, like 서태지와 did and
Wow.
H.O.T. And I kind of saw the rise of what we know as K-pop today.
Wow.
And I had to hide that from like my non-Korean friends, but I loved it. And when it started to get its audience and find its audience in North America, I was like, oh, finally, they're on board. And so,
Was it just when Blackpink and BTS was catching on, like 7 years
I
ago?
think so, yes.
Yes, okay.
And so right after the movie we were starting to develop it, I went to a BTS concert at the Rose Bowl in Los Angeles. And that's a gigantic venue. It's like 50,000 people. And
Wow.
I witnessed a crowd that was, I don't even know, I think it was like maybe 10% Asian. Not even Korean, just Asian. And they knew all the lyrics to every song and singing it along. And seeing that told me like, wow, I don't think this is going to slow down. I think it's just on the rise. So I had confidence that even though the movie took a long time, that when it was out, it was going to be okay.
When you say taking a long time, was it because of your creative process, or was it like the studios or platforms not accepting it?
Originals just take a long time. It took 6 years basically to figure out the full story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 6 years to figure out the whole story. And when did you get the financing or the production partner?
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think it was about a year into development, having a full script. The first draft of the script is when we were fully financed, and then we were going.
And that was Sony? Yeah,
No, that was Netflix.
That's Netflix, but yeah, Netflix first, and then what was Sony's involvement? So yeah, I heard about Sony's,
I mean, Sony's where the project landed at first, and
Okay.
and they're the kind of creative lead, I would say, but it is a true partnership.
Yeah. Got you. And then for you, now that everyone knows about the success, what is the most surprising thing that you didn't expect from the audience? Obviously, you had this deep confidence on the K-pop fans loving this content, but like, what is the most surprising thing that in terms of reaction?
I mean, you can't expect the response to anything when you're making it. You're so close to what you're making, and you're working on the same product for 7 years, and you don't. It's hard to kind of work on something and come up with something like 6 years ago, and then release it 6 years later, and is that idea still good? Is it still you don't really know, and we really didn't know. We didn't know how big this could get. So it's surprising that we've reached just beyond animation fans, beyond K-pop fans, beyond the kind of younger fans, like even just the age, the demographic. We were kind of surpassed every single demographic that was our main target. Yeah.
And I think you've achieved like any creator's wildest dream with this K-pop Demon Hunter. And
I think so.
Yeah, and then just curious, what is your, like, let's say you have no budget constraint, you have no limits on what you can build, like universe. What is your kind of dream project you would love to do?
I'm trying to figure that out right now. That's why.
Okay.
I think when I made this movie, I didn't target children. I think that's what a lot of people think in the industry too. Like even in Hollywood, that animation is for children. But I never thought that with this movie. I wanted to make it for younger to kind of maybe like, I don't know, youngest maybe 8, but like 12 to 30 kind of an audience. And I think it's important to target that age group because those are the most active on social media. They're the ones who are posting about what they like, what they see. And I feel like that's what really helped our movie become so viral. And we were told that just the stats of it, the younger audience, the kid audience didn't come in till about third week, I think.
Wow. So the first and second week, what is the biggest age demographic that watched it?
It was, I believe it was about 12 to 25.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And speaking of, you said this age group of 12 to 25, the 13 to 30, that is the most important audience to make a viral content. And just curious, in your view, You were talking about fans sharing on social media, and we talked about just before how now with AI, everyone can recreate, remix your content, especially with like K-pop Demon must have so many remixes. What do you think about as a creative, like people using your IP in some way, but fans who are loving your IP for the best intention, recreating, remixing your content
With AI?
with AI or anything? Yeah.
I mean, it's cool, I think seeing it is like, I'm just constantly wowed at how quickly it's evolving. And I don't know, I think taking something that was created by humans first, and then putting it through AI just to get more content out of it is interesting. I think that's with animation, it just takes so long to produce. So I understand the fans wanting to see more content, so wanting to do that. It's kind of fun to see, I would say. Yeah.
Great. And just kind of start wrapping up. And is there for any folks in the entertainment creative industry, there's so many folks here in that industry, like what when they pick creative talents or creative projects, like what would you say the business people should look at? Because everyone here is in the business of entertainment.
Yes.
Not many creators here.
Yeah.
It's like we're thinking about IP. Luca is here. There's so many K-pop CEOs here. Like what is some thing that we should take a look at really deeply on IP side?
I mean, number one is story, and I think it's fitting that your company's called Story because it's the most important thing with anything, like a commercial or any sort of short format. It doesn't matter. It's everybody wants to feel and be connected to something, and that's story. And so once you have story, you can have it all. But if you don't have that, no amount of art or pizzazz or fluff can save you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because both you and Bong Joon-ho, probably the biggest two movies come out of Korea recently.
I just love that you're comparing me to him in any way.
But I'm just saying, both writer director. So you have the full stack thinking from the story to the image to the visuals, everything end to end. So it's all connecting. So great. I think we're gonna see. You're gonna hopefully hang out at the party for a little, and all of you guys can ask some more questions to her. But I want to keep it at this. Thank you guys.
Sounds great. Thank you.